It's me, Phil Thach, and that other guy over there is also Phil. That's Phil Vignola Jr. And Phil has a couple of YouTube channels. How many YouTube channels do you have? I always ask you. I know you've got two, and I don't remember the other ones.
Yeah, I would say three, none of which are extremely active, but so it's Photo Gear Fun, Bull City Birding, and Small Camper Big Fun, which we haven't really posted anything to in a year maybe, but that was
Gotcha.
a camping channel.
I gotcha. Let's see. I'm going to turn the mute off on this computer and see if there's audio on the stream. I gotcha. All right. We've got audio. People can hear us.
Good. Well, we'll let them decide if that's good or not.
Ron says this message comes up that they are live. So I don't know if Ron sees us live, but I'm pretty sure we're live.
All right.
But anyway, this is our second one of these. The first one we were testing go live together. There's David Olshan. Hi, Phil. Sound is good. That's awesome. And now we're still testing go live together, which I think we had an easier time getting it to work and go live last time than this time. And last time it was our first time. Nature Photo Studio says hello, hello there to you. And Ron says we are loud and clear. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I was trying to use the mic and it just doesn't seem to work very well with my Android phone for some reason. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm
we got to get you one of those fancy iPhones. I'm using the same mic you were trying to use, and no problemo. But it doesn't matter. I mean, your phone's got a microphone in it; it'll be fine. Are you still hearing echo, Phil?
no, actually the echo's gone.
Ah, cool. I'm not hearing any echo at all, which is it's crazy that you can use this with no headphones. I mean, my phone on the or speaker on my phone is blasting with your voice on it, and there's no echo. Those
Yeah, it's actually pretty
it,
impressive.
yeah, it is pretty impressive. I heard last time I heard just a little tiny bit of echo, but I mean, and not all the time, just every once in a while it would come up. Good afternoon, Joshua Pope of Knoxville. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Uh, Last time we did this, we had no script, and we don't really have a script this time, but I do have some questions to ask Phil. So whenever we run out of stuff to talk about, I can ask Phil a question. Now, here is a quiz for you, Phil, and for everyone in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Where did this T-shirt come from? Any
Camera
ideas?
store.
Wow, got it immediately. Did I wear this in Florida when we were in Florida?
I don't think so, but I'm a longtime fan of their. Well, it used to be. They're still around, but I'm a longtime fan of Jordan and Chris. So
Yeah, me too. So when hello, Dan Williams, a long time no see. I saw Dan just a few hours ago in at the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge, so that was cool. Yeah, when Heather and I went to Banff, we flew into Calgary, and Calgary is where the camera store is. So I made sure to go by the camera store and pick up a T-shirt, which I
oh,
think
look
you
at
might
that.
be able to see where it says the camera store on the back.
Yeah.
So anyway, had
All right,
to.
so I get an A for the day, right?
Yes, sir. You're already winning. Um, so where did you go and do photography this morning, Phil? I know you got a killer cedar waxwing shot.
Yeah, I went to a place called Bond Park, which is in Cary, North Carolina. So if there's any, I don't think there's anybody from North Carolina here, but anybody watching, it's in Cary. And I went to see. There's this wood duck there that is very friendly, as opposed to normal wood ducks, which are skittish. And he's also trying to attach to female mallards. So it's kind of funny to watch, and we can get really close to him. So I went to see if I could find him. My friend saw a great horned owl there the other day, so we're looking for that as well. But I didn't see either of those two, and we just happened upon this flock of cedar waxwings that were, I think there probably 75 of them that were
Wow.
8 or 10 feet in front of us. Just I couldn't really get. It was hard to get isolation because there were so many of them. So I just had to try to pick two, and I lucked out with a shot that.
It looked like they were eating some berries. Was that privet berries they were eating in your photo?
You know, my wife asked me the same question. I don't know. It was on a big tree that, to a person who doesn't know anything about trees, kind of looked like an oak tree, although obviously it was not an oak tree. but they just had all these berries on it, and they were going crazy for them.
Yeah, I took a photo years ago, near the Curtain Pole Road Pond in Chattanooga, and it was a cedar waxwing, and it was eating some berries that looked quite a bit like that. And I posted it somewhere. I think it was on Facebook or something. And some college professor was doing a study on native birds eating invasive fruit.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he said that it was privet that they were eating, and asked if he could use my photo in his class. And I said, of course you can. But anyway, so that's why I thought it might be privet. But I had that line of Leland cypress beside my house that used to have birds all in them, and then a storm came and knocked them down. And under those is all sorts of privet growing, and it's
Oh.
where the birds would go and eat the berries, and then they'd come and land in the tree and poop, and next thing you know, there's privet growing beside my tree. So that's how that goes.
Yeah, naturally
Let's see. We got some
naturally
other
kill
people in
system.
here. Ron is saying hi to Dan. Alan Williams is from Cary. Do you know
Oh,
Alan, Phil?
I don't.
Well, you should tell him where the waxwing were today. Man, like I was telling you earlier, I haven't gotten a good waxwing photo in probably 2 years. And that's a drag because I think the cedar waxwing may be the most photogenic songbird of all.
I
It
agree,
just
yeah.
it just their feathers are always so smooth looking. Even when they're super sharp and detailed, they still look just so smooth and beautiful. And of course, the color is great.
Yeah, the
Um,
different tail tip colors too, which is interesting. There's yellow and orange tail tips, which makes for a pretty interesting photo if you get it framed. But so, Alan, Bond Park is a it's a decent sized lake. There's like a 2.5 mile trail around it. It's a rough trail, like, kind of a natural trail. There are parts of it that's paved, but if you walk around the lake, some trees kind of on the backside, there's a little retention pond, and we see a lot of different ducks there, and so it's starting to be duck season here. I think it is probably everywhere. I didn't see uh, anything other than mallards for ducks over there, but we did see those cedar waxwings, and I did watch. So there's one spot in the middle where NC Wildlife puts fish. It's a huge fish feeder, and there are 70 or 80 cormorants all the time around that. And every so often they'll release the fish, and when they do, the cormorants just go crazy. There's a feeding frenzy. It's almost like piranha in the water.
yeah.
And
Oh wow.
there was one today that I got a couple of shots of that was feeding over near a bunch of mallards. But it's actually it's a very nice park, and there's a lot of different birds around there. I think I got 46 different species today, although I didn't get shots of them, but at least they're around.
Wow. You killed it. I
Yeah.
did not have as much luck. I mean, I had a nice morning, but not I didn't get 46 species. I got 4 or 6 species.
I tell you, we're so. I mean, you have spots in Tennessee too, and it's not too much different from in North Carolina. But within my house, if I look at eBird and I draw like a 15-mile radius, there are probably 250 different hotspots. It's just crazy dense with really nice spots for birding. So we're
I
really
should
lucky around here.
I should really start looking at eBird, but I never ever do. I mean, virtually never. I may not even still have it on my phone. I'm not sure, but I should. So I went to the Hiawassee Wildlife Refuge, which today is the 13th and the last day that you can go in to it instead of just observing it from the little gazebo is tomorrow. And today was my last day off before that. And I told Dan Williams, who's in here, I said, today is a holiday. It's the last Thursday before November 15th. And I come here every time it's the last Thursday because Thursday's my off day, unless it's just dumping buckets rain. But anyway, so I got to walk down in there, and there were some sandhill cranes. I saw a couple as I went in, and I tried to get close to them and spook them, and they flew off. So that was terrible. And then I walked down through there and I got some white-throated sparrows. Isn't that amazing? I know you wouldn't expect to see those this time of year. And I got
Yeah.
a swamp sparrow and a Savannah sparrow, and I saw two. I've seen. I'm sure Dan has seen 1,000 times up there the northern harrier, but I saw two at the same time and got them both in the same shot. A very poor shot, but they're both in it, so that was cool. And I saw Eastern bluebird. I mean, nothing special, but it was still fun to walk around in there. Oh, and speaking of ducks, you said ducks. There were hooded mergansers in the water there, but they were several hundred yards away. No photo opportunities, but they were there, so that was kind of cool. And
Yeah.
when I came back, because I walked further down in there than I've ever walked before. Um, and when I came back, there were the sandhill cranes were there, but instead of being two or three, there was more like 30 or 40, and I got a few photos of them. And I learned the Sigma, it's not Sigma, it's OM system 150 to 600, which is what I was shooting with today, which is made by Sigma. I tried it wide open for the first time. The Chris and Jordan said, stop it down. And
Yeah.
I've stopped it down every time I've shot with it. Well, today I shot it wide open. And when I wasn't at 600 millimeters, wide open was fine. But at 600 millimeters, wide open was a little soft. So there's a little learning thing for me. So I know I can, as long as I'm not all the way out at 600 millimeters, which really I probably don't need all the
Yeah.
time on that lens because it's 1200 millimeters full frame equivalent, um, then I can shoot wide open.
Yeah, with
But
all the atmosphere, I mean, you're gonna be soft no matter what at that distance. 1,200 millimeters is crazy, right?
well,
But
I
I
mean, just because you're at 1200 millimeters doesn't mean you have to be a long way from something.
no, true. I mean,
Something can be quite small.
right. And that's usually what I shoot, and that's why I use a teleconverter, and we've had that conversation about teleconverters. And in your most recent video, I commented on the fact that you seem to be maybe warming up a little bit to
Yeah, I'm still cold.
teleconverters.
I'm still cold on teleconverters. It's
But
like
I would take a two Harrier shot over any number of sandhill crane shots any day of the week. Personally, I guess we don't see them very often here, but to see two in one shot, that's pretty
yeah,
impressive.
and they were either both female or neither one of them was gray, is what I'm saying. The females are brown and maybe the immature ones are brown. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was cool to see them. And I've seen them there before, but usually they're flying by in a distance. These were in a distance, but not 600 yards away in a distance. I was
And I
able to get
see.
them in the frame, and you could tell what they were.
I'm trying to look at the. It's really small on my phone, but Alan, you can follow me on Facebook. Same Phil E Vignola Jr. and we can kind of connect that way if you want to try to get together at Bond Park or anywhere around here and
That's
shoot
why you're
together.
Philly V, because you're Phil EV.
Yeah. So one of the local birders renamed me Phil E Vireo because I always seem to see the Philadelphia Vireos. So that was my nickname for this one particular birding circle is Phil E Vireo or
Well,
Philly Vireo.
it's easier for a birder to pronounce than Vignola.
That's true.
I would think. So
I'm sorry for
let's
the
catch
lighting.
up
I'm
on
not in my
comments, and then I'm
studio.
going to start my question. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said sorry for the lighting. I'm not in my studio today because I just recently got into crypto mining and I've got some crypto miners in there that are pretty loud and I didn't feel like turning them off. So sorry.
Well, you couldn't turn them off because they're making pennies an hour.
Hey, I made like 4 cents last night. So I mean,
That is
when you're
awesome.
sleeping to make 4 cents, that's pretty good.
That sounds just like a YouTube channel making 4 cents overnight. Okay, I'm going to read some comments. Phil and Phil, come out to Oregon, visit my backyard in late May, early June. The wax meetings, love my cherry tree. That would be awesome. I would love to do more birding out west. North Dam Visitor Center is always good for cedar waxwing. Good to know. Good to know. Dan said, I got the Harrier up close while perched, posted on Facebook.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to follow. Is it Dan Williams Birds on Facebook as well? I'll have to follow Dan.
Yeah, I'm looking for the picture. Yeah, Dan's a great photographer. You'll enjoy his feed.
You guys have some pretty good photographers over there in Tennessee.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. They're- yeah, it's under Dan Williams Bird Photography.
Okay, cool. And Alan, I saw the friend's request. I'll respond after the live stream. Thanks for the request.
Cool. Okay, now I did this thing. The last time Philly V and I did one of these, every once in a while we'd get stuck and I'd say, well, what have you been doing? And Phil would say, well, I've been taking pictures of birds. And he'd say, well, what have you been doing? Well, I've been taking pictures of birds. So we kind of got stuck. So I'm borrowing an idea from Ron Durant. And Ron went to Georgia and interviewed David Sailors and Teresa Sailors about their trip out west. And he asked ChatGPT to come up with some questions. So I said, hey, there's an idea. And so I told ChatGPT the following. I said, I'm interviewing Phil Vignola of Photo Gear Fun and Bull City Birding YouTube channels. What should I ask him? And oh man, we got lots of questions.
Oh
First thing
boy.
it said was, that's a great opportunity. Phil Vignola is known for his engaging, informative photography and birding content! Exclamation point.
Wow.
To get a rich conversational interview, you'll want to touch on his creative process, that's bold, gear philosophy, birding experiences, and YouTube journey. Here are some well rounded question ideas you can adapt depending on your focus and tone: journalistic, podcast, YouTube. How about live stream? All right. So, you ready for the first question, Philly V?
That's very kind of Chat GPT. I have to put the check in the mail.
Yeah. Well, next time I'll tell it to roast your two channels, and I'll read that next stream because
That would be good.
Chat GPT can be equally as evil as it can be nice.
I'm sure.
Ron says, excellent Chat GPT questions. Yeah, that interview that Ron did with David and Teresa was fantastic. It was really, really good. Okay. The first section is YouTube and content creation. What inspired you to start Photo Gear Fun, and later, it even knows that it was later, Bull City Birding?
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That shirt that you have on is probably the prime reason for me doing that. I just like watching their content so much. So, Photo Gear Fun is basically a gear review channel and kind of turned into birding. And that I decided at one point to spin off the birding into Bull City Birding. But it was, I honestly, a lot of the stuff that I did, I was doing for my future self and just figured that maybe somebody else would benefit from it. So I would do this because I used to buy a lot of gear. I'm retired now. Before I retired, I bought a lot of gear, and so I could just go back and look at my videos to say, I'm going to Disney and I want to vlog. What's the best vlogging setup? And I can go back and look through my videos. And some people found some value in it, and that was kind of just more me talking to myself and maybe other gearheads that might be interested in this kind of stuff. But
Awesome.
yeah, Tony and Chelsea Northrup also had a big influence on me in my photography career and also in my YouTube career. So they have done a lot of stuff that I enjoy too, and also maybe an unpopular
I know what's coming.
personality from those photos too. Does I think you take
Oh,
him for what he's worth, and I think he's great. But
that wasn't what I was expecting you to say. I was expecting you to say camera conspiracies.
oh, that's I watch Casey every single whatever video he puts out. I watch, and I even watch his. He's got another like health channel that I watch because I just think he's funny. But camera
He's got a
conspiracy,
health channel.
yeah,
He does not seem to be an extraordinarily healthy individual to me.
he's struggling with a bunch of things. It's called the Vegetable Police. So if you check it out, it's interesting. I don't. He doesn't do a lot of health content these days necessarily, but it's interesting. I just think he's a great personality. I just finished watching his latest video.
Holy crap. Dan Williams said hundreds of white pelicans at Blythe Ferry around 10 a.m. I wonder. I, oh man, I can't believe I missed that. I love white pelicans. Love, love, love white pelicans. I wonder if he means the east side, the same side as the wildlife refuge, or the west side where um, where he hangs out all the time and makes amazing sunrise photos. He makes a sunrise photo at the west side of Blythe Ferry probably once a week, and every one of them's a banger, and they don't look the same. Anyway, it's cool. All right, now you ready for another question, or
I'm ready.
is it? Let's see if we're missing anything in the chat. I don't think we are. All right, next question: how do you balance producing educational content with keeping it fun and engaging. Do you produce educational content?
I guess that's up for debate. I will say that I feel like I need to do a better job of education in my content. And there's JT Birder, which is I believe is based out of Massachusetts. Is another channel that I follow, and he does a really good job of educating folks about the birds that he's shooting. I feel like I should do a better job of that. And I also feel like, Phil, I should take a page out of your book. So when I do, especially on Bull City Birding, I don't talk about the technical aspects of photography, meaning camera settings. Like you do a great job of mentioning all the different, the exposure triangle, all the different settings, which I don't do. And I don't generally get into unique things about birds unless I see in that particular episode, unless I see them doing something like with the red-headed woodpecker. They're one of the few woodpeckers that will actually take a piece of wood, a bark, and cover up their caches. And I've captured that on camera a couple of times, which I think is interesting. But if I'm just taking shots of, the belted kingfisher, unless I see it fishing or whatever the birds are that I normally take pictures of, I don't generally do a good job of education, which I feel like I should do more.
Interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't call my YouTube channel educational at all. Um, that puts too much pressure on me. But I do like to, I don't know every bird species. I mean, today I was conversing with you about, hey, what do you think this is a Savannah sparrow, or do you think this is a this or anyway? I there's I got plenty of room to learn. But I do like to, when I'm pretty sure what the species is, I like to mention it. And to me, given the settings are interesting for me. When I'm watching somebody's video and they put a picture up, I want to know, hey, what shutter speed did you need to, how much ISO did you need?
Yeah.
Um, you know, it helps me understand. Like some people say, oh well, photography is not a recipe. I heard one YouTuber say photography is not a recipe. You can't just say this setting, this setting, this setting, and the picture is going to come out that way. But what it helps me with is, like, if I know that that person was at f6.3 and his shutter speed was 1/250th and his ISO was 1,000, then I have an idea of how bright the light was.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if the exact same settings, but the ISO was 10,000 to get the exposure right, then I know it was pretty freaking dark. So that's why I want to know the settings. I want to know the settings because I want to know what the person was up against to get that shot.
Yeah. And I think
Now,
it's good also to, so one thing that I should start doing more is, like, I was shooting a hawk in flight, right? So what's the shutter speed? What is the minimum shutter speed you need to get acceptably sharp shots for a hawk versus, say, a great blue heron, right? Clearly different shutter speeds. So one thing that I want to try to do more is start saying, okay, so I'm shooting this hawk and I'm shooting at 1/3200th, where if I was shooting a great blue heron, I could probably get sharp shots at 6/40th or 1,000, whatever the case might be. But just to kind of give them some benchmark and forget about everything else. Although, I mean, obviously there's a whole triangle there, but assuming you're at your maximum aperture, what shutter speed do you need and what your ISO is, and that kind of helps folks gauge what type of bird they can shoot at what shutter speed, I guess.
yeah, and you know what's embarrassing is sometimes, and or maybe I should say often, I'll give the settings and I have to say this is where I screwed up.
Yeah,
I dialed
same
my
here.
shutter speed was too fast. I used too fast of a shutter speed, like it happened today. Those Harrier were flying around, and I said, "Holy crap, this is not going to happen very often." So I spun the shutter speed dial, and it landed on 1/5000th. And I made my shots, and they were frozen. They weren't sharp from a in focus point of view, but they were at least frozen. And then the next bird I saw was a Savannah sparrow, and I was so busy concentrating on getting it in the frame and getting it in focus, I forgot to slow my shutter speed back down. So I had too
Yeah.
much ISO on that shot, and I had to say, "Hey, made a mistake here. I'm not recommending 1/5000th for a perched Savannah sparrow." But
The
by
one
God,
of
there was no motion blur. I promise you that.
one of the
Okay,
things that I try to tell people too is that I don't shoot the way that I shoot because I prefer clean images over anything else. Like, I miss shots, and I know I miss shots. Well, I shoot, single shot, and I shoot mechanical shutter. I know that I'm going to miss shots, but my preference is to have the lowest ISO shot possible and still have something that's sharp. and
Yeah, me too.
that's
Me
really
me
not
too.
necessarily the way you should shoot.
Unless it's a Harrier in flight, whoa,
Right.
this I have to get because I'm not going to have many more chances.
Yeah.
There's a question, two things. Michael Anderson said, "Howdy, cranes at Hiawassee yet?" And the answer to that is yes. There were some there today, and Dan Williams said that there were even more there yesterday. And also, Ron Durant says, "I have a question for Philly, which is you." And while we're waiting for him to say what that question is, he says, I can't pronounce your name, and I apologize about that. I'm going to do your initials. AC says, production takes care of that pretty easy. Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of things you can fix in post production, but I'd rather not have to. Okay, here's Ron's question for you. Do you see it, Philly V? It
Yes.
says, "Have you ever?" What are you laughing about? Did I say something stupid?
No, no,
Okay.
no. His question is just funny. I'll tell you why in a second. You'll see once you read it. But
Oh, have you ever photographed a waterfall long exposure for silky smooth water effect? Yeah, that Phil V does. We've established at one of the Ron Durant photography roundtables that that's one of the things that Phil V does not like. He does not like the beautiful, smooth, and silky waterfall effect. And I'm so if you're thinking of a Christmas gift for Philly V, an ND filter would probably not be what I would recommend. Yeah.
so that was the whole story. Is it was the first time I was on Photographers Roundtable, and Ron had questions that he asked new photographers, and he asked me about photography trends that I didn't necessarily like, and not realizing that there are a lot of landscape photographers who shoot waterfalls in the group. I said I don't like that silky effect,
Yeah,
which
I don't like my waterfall pictures to look professional in any way. I
yeah,
like
I like to see the individual droplets of water if I can. So yeah, that's the I yeah, foot in mouth
it's
immediately.
okay. I think that's a disease,
Yeah.
foot and mouth disease.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. He said, Ron says, "Yeah, let's hear the whole story." So we've heard that now. All right, next question for Philly V. Man, there's a lot of these, and I need to be off of here by probably 4:35. So we got to get cracking. What's been the most rewarding part of building your channels?
Hmm. Well, it certainly hasn't been the money. That's for it's just the and probably everybody says this, and so it's universally true, I believe, and it's just the community. So, there are always people who are keyboard warriors and will say things to try to bring you down. But I find by and large that the community that kind of we've built has been mostly civil and mostly uplifting, and it's great to hear somebody say, I learned something here, or you helped me buy my camera, whatever the case might be. So it's really been that community. And although I haven't done much lately, the practice of just getting out there and being disciplined, like Phil, you do an awesome job of this. I wish I could. I'm striving to get better, but you're very disciplined. You get out there, you plan your content, you shoot your content very well, you edit it. You're kind of very meticulous about it, and you also get the content out there very often. I don't. I've still got a video sitting on my hard drive that is probably been on my hard drive for a month that I need to produce for my big year. So I'm doing a birding big year, and I'm at 213 last count. But if you look at my last video, I think it was at 180 something. So there's a lot of stuff that I need to catch up on.
Hmm.
I've been so demotivated lately to do YouTube stuff. I get out every morning and shoot and edit, and I haven't done the YouTube thing. So
Well, I mean, you're more of a Facebook guy, really, when it comes to your bird photography. Matter of fact,
that's
until we became Facebook friends, I didn't even realize you were a good bird photographer
wow. Thank
because
you.
at that time you weren't posting bird pictures in YouTube videos, and that's
Yeah.
when I messaged you and said you have to post these bird pictures in YouTube videos. Uh, um, and I used to be all on Facebook too. I just get more. it's more rewarding for me to put my pictures in a YouTube video than it is just to put them up on Facebook. And there's nothing wrong with just putting them up on Facebook. Most people just put them on Facebook.
Yeah,
But I feel like if I tell the story about making the picture, it makes the picture better.
yeah, and I 100% agree with that. So I was thinking about this, today. It's so hard, and people don't understand. Like the average viewer doesn't understand how hard it is to take really good photos, and I strive to take really good photos. I fail more often than I succeed, but to take really good photos and to produce quality content. And that's why I really like I was a fan of yours before, when we started chatting, and that's kind of how we met each other. But to do that is incredibly difficult, and I really don't think the average viewer understands that. So I got a comment one time on one of my videos, and it was basically, I think you could have taken better shots in every one of these particular situations. I'm like, okay, great. So how do you respond to that? Basically, I said, well, okay, I don't know how you could possibly know that, but try to produce a video for YouTube and take good photographs and then get back to me and show me what you've got, basically, is what I said. I always try to be nice because I think being kind is the best thing you can be. But it's so difficult to do.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it for sure. Tel Burkett says, I thought there has been a fall off on your Facebook photos. And I wonder if he's talking about mine. Um, I usually don't post something on Facebook unless I really, really like it. And I haven't gotten any bangers lately. So, if I get a banger, I put it on Facebook. If I get one that's pretty good, I'll definitely still put it in a YouTube video. But if it's not a banger, I don't put it on Facebook typically.
And that's
Like,
interesting too, because I have friends who are obviously a lot of photographer friends, and I understand the mentality of only post your best work. But I've come to just, when I'm out every day, like I haven't done it yet today, but I'll post, here's my set from today. Like
yeah,
only what I consider to be decent photos, but not great photos. And so I'm of the opinion people can think what they will of me as far as my photography skills, but I think there are people that I know there are people that I know that are housebound or don't have access to kingfishers or red-headed woodpeckers or whatever, that just enjoy seeing these photos. Whether they're good
yeah.
photos or not, that really doesn't matter much to me. It's more about getting that stuff out there. And I put stuff out there, and people ask me, why do you do this? Well, recently I was selected to be in a calendar for one of our local parks. Somebody who's putting the calendar together reached out and they saw
So
my stuff on
swimsuit
one of the
calendar,
groups.
right?
I'm sorry.
It's a swimsuit calendar, right?
Well, yeah, but so it's just, if you don't put your work out there, people aren't going to see it. And if you only put your best out there, and that's what you want to do because you're focusing more on the business of photography, I completely get that. I'm not in the business of photography. I'm not trying to sell images. I'm not trying to necessarily make money. And I anybody who can do that, I appreciate that. I wish I could, but I'm just at the point where I've realized that my photos are decent sometimes, good sometimes, and sometimes bad, but I'm just gonna put it out there and see what folks think of it.
Yeah, I like that. And here's my response to that from a YouTuber point of view. Um, if I put and if you put all your photos from the day in a set, then it makes sense that some of them are better than others.
Right.
But if I was to do that, then somebody's seen my whole video 2 weeks before it comes out. You know what I mean?
That's
I'll
true.
put
Yeah,
I'll put the best one if there's one
yeah.
that's good enough to call it a best one, and then somebody might look forward to that video coming out going, "Man, let's see how he made that." But if I anyway, so it's just different philosophies, and there's nothing wrong with either one.
No, I
Um,
get that strategy, definitely.
let's see here. Tail says yes. I guess he's talking about me posting less pictures. I'll get better. David says hi. Another David says Facebook only gets my comments from family. Trying to post photos on Instagram daily, but not getting any traction. Pretty frustrating trying to grow my photography. Just keep going, man. Keep going.
I'm with you.
And I recommend every time you post a picture, find 5 or 6 pictures that you like on that same platform and like and comment those, and then you'll meet people that way. Those people will say, hey, that person liked and commented my picture, and they'll take a look at your stuff, and if they like it, they'll probably so anyway, that's a way. Let's see. Dan says, great point about telling the story of a photo. That's the key to selling your photos. That comes from a guy who earned his living as a bird photographer. That's really cool. I imagine if you're standing there trying to sell a beautiful photo that you've made, if you can tell the prospective client or purchaser what went on when you made it, that would help close the deal. Let's see. All right. Let's see. We are up to because Ron has agreed and Ron has talked to David a little bit. Let's see what our next thing is. You ready?
I'm ready.
This is a tough one, or maybe it's easy. Have you noticed any big differences between the photography and birding audiences?
Yes. I guess I have to be careful how I word this. I'll put on my diplomat hat and say that in general, photographers can be more standoffish than birders. Birders seem to be um, more generous with their information. So they're two distinct people that I come across when I'm in the birding community. There's photographers who became birders, and then there's birders who are maybe only birders or carry a camera just to take photos for kind of more documentation like IDs. And the birders I found to be more forthcoming and sharing than the photographers. So it's not, I don't know, I can't say that that's a hard and fast rule, but my observation would be photographers can be less forthcoming with information about, say, a good spot to find a bird or a good technique to use to capture the bird or something like that. And my experience outside of birding in photography has been the same. Landscape photographers, like there's this gatekeeping kind of thing that, again, this is a generalization. I don't say every photographer does that because I've met some wonderful photographers who are very sharing, but my
That's
experience from
just how
sharing,
it is in North Carolina.
yeah, probably those silly North Carolina people, mostly Yankees that came down to try to get further south. But and I'm included in that group, by the way. But
That's
yeah, I
okay.
think it's an interesting dynamic. But I can tell you that the birding photographers that I've met tend to be more free with their information than, let's say, a portrait photographer. And I understand that you're trying to protect your business, and I get that. But the people that I meet who are doing bird photography aren't making a living doing bird photography. So you, I think as humans, we try to protect our business and our well being and our livelihood. And I get that. So you wouldn't necessarily, if you've got this technique that's making you a lot of money as a portrait photographer, you wouldn't just share it with your competition. And I completely get that. So that is a tough question, but that's kind of my take on it.
Cool. How do you approach storytelling in your videos? Do you plan everything out or film spontaneously?
Boy, I'd like to say that I do the first, but it's more the second. So I'm still struggling, even after I don't know how many videos I've got, 30 something videos. I'm still struggling with my format. So my
Yeah,
basic
well, I
format,
mean, for me, it's definitely filmed spontaneously because
yeah,
the what happened is the story, you
right.
know? Today I said, well, I mean, if I had gone out and said, today I'm definitely going to find a swamp sparrow, then there'd been a lot of pressure to find a swamp sparrow. So
But
I didn't know what
that's a
the
safe
story
bet at
was when I
least.
started. Some of
If you
these
said today I'm going to find two harriers, that's, you know, that's not as
yeah,
safe a bet as a swamp
yeah.
sparrow. But yeah, but you almost have to.
Dude, I was more excited about the swamp sparrow just because the picture's perfect. The harriers, not so much. How do you approach storytelling? That's a dumb question. What's this one's good. What's one video you're especially proud of and why?
Hmm, that's actually a really good question.
You want me to give you a hint?
No, so this is going to sound like it was planned or I'm sucking up or whatever, but the video I was watching, I actually rewatched these videos yesterday, and the video that we did together at Orlando Wetlands is probably my favorite video. It's the one that I'm most proud of, and
Oh, cool.
and the one that I enjoy most, especially at the end, was your video from Orlando Wetlands.
Yeah, that was
So
a
if
lot of
anybody,
fun.
if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. It's
That
quite
was a lot of
funny.
fun. I figured you would have said your lake bets documentary?
Oh, yeah, so that's yeah, I was thinking strictly like my big year videos, but yeah, the one actually I'm most proud of overall is the mini documentary that I did on Sandy Creek. So Lake Betts was the first one that I did, and Lake Betts is my home, and that's my home patch, whatever you want to call it. That's like when I'm there, I'm home, and that was the first one that I had done though. So video and photography are dramatically different arts and crafts. I mean, you can't even begin to explain unless you've done them both how different they are. And so getting into video, I'm still getting into video. I'm not a videographer, but I was really proud when I did the Lake Betts one that I was able to capture the footage that I did. I feel like with the Sandy Creek one, I kind of elevated that a little bit. And I feel like whatever the next one is, oh wow, will be better than that. But yeah, those two mini documentaries. So I think they're 6 or 7 minutes long, and I used AI to do the voice work, but I shot all the videos on site at that location. So there were many days. Wow, this cat usually doesn't sit on my lap.
That's a
There were
good
many
kitty.
days that I went out and didn't get a whole lot, and I dragged my big. I've got a proper video tripod and all my gear and all that stuff. So it was really challenging and really rewarding when you get the shot. Like so, Sandy Creek has these yellow crowned night heron, which are not normally native to eastern North Carolina, but they're here and they breed here every year. And I was able to get some really good footage of that. And there's some other unique birds. But yeah, those documentaries are probably the ones that I'm most proud of.
Cool. Just except you completely forgot about him.
Well, so I was just thinking about the big year videos.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good. Those are good for sure. Let's see here. How do you handle the gear reviews versus personal passion balance on Photo Gear Fun? Who knows?
Yeah.
Some
So the thing that the reason one of the reasons Photo Gear Fun has slowed down was because before I retired, I had a fairly substantial budget for gear. And in general, everything that I reviewed, I bought myself. And that won't sustain in retirement because obviously the income. I've got 6 cats, by the way, and this is my little girl.
how
Um,
is that how many are currently on your lap? I just see one.
just yeah, just one. Fluffy just left, and this is Sylvia, our little girl. She's the smallest but the most mighty. But
She looks tough. She looks like she would not take any stuff from the other
oh,
kitties.
oh yeah, she'll keep the boys in line. There's 5 boys. She's the one girl.
Oh
But
Lord, I hope they're not are they all spayed and neutered?
yeah, and the five
Oh,
of them are siblings. So there's
oh, okay.
but
Is she the
yeah,
mom?
no, mm,
Is she the
no.
mom or no?
No, so we had 1 cat, and then mom came up on our deck one time because my wife was feeding a stray, and that stray brought mom, and then mom brought the kittens. The kittens, it kind of were living on our deck for a while, we were feeding them, and then now we have 5 kittens
Yeah,
that
you got a lot of cats.
that
That's
nobody
a
nobody
that's a
nobody really wanted, and we
that's a
couldn't
lot
just
of
throw
litter box
outside.
scooping.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Which
6
is the
litter
one
box.
that got sick? Was it one of the boys or was it her?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Boots who's right here. That was Yeah, he nearly died recently, so that was exciting, and my wife's out of town, and so I had to deal with that all on my own. Good
Hmm.
stuff, but back to the gear. So
Okay,
there
sorry.
were companies that would send me things, and I would review them. And in general, quite honestly, I wasn't. You can't be unbiased when people send you gear, right? You can. It's really really difficult. That's so one of the things that I prided myself on was I was self-funded and I could say what I wanted about any particular piece of gear. But it's really tough, especially you know how it feels. You buy a new piece of gear and you spent thousands of dollars and you really want to like it, and you're almost kidding yourself at some point, at least initially, that this is the best thing ever. And then I think you kind of will understand better after you use it more. And that's why I was always trying, like, I'll do a quick first look. And I always try to wait to do my reviews until I've actually had time to use it because I don't think there's a lot of value in, like, the big YouTubers have these, they get everything before the embargo and the embargo hits, and then they're all releasing these kind of reviews or first looks or whatever. And I don't feel like there's a great deal of value in those necessarily, other than you can watch one of them and basically they're all the same because they're just going over specs. And I try to, whenever I can, do more of a 6 month, 9 month, 12 month review.
Yeah, you can go over specs without even having the gear. They put the
Oh
specs on
yeah,
B&H when the pre-order screen comes up. This thing's got a 2.8 aperture. That's
yeah,
unbelievable. And you don't
yeah.
even have to have the lens in your hand to do that. Um, I get a lot of gear given to me, and I see what you're saying. But what I do is if I don't like the gear, I'll message the place and say, "Hey, I can't review this.
Hmm.
I can't review this." And I've had that happen several times, once on a tripod, once on a lens, actually more than once on a lens. If it's garbage, I don't want to make a video saying it's garbage
Right.
because first of all, I've trashed your product that you sent me for free, and second of all, nobody else is going to send me stuff if I make bad reviews. So my reviews are at least somewhat positive, even if it's just a so-so piece of gear. But if it's a bad piece of gear, I refuse to review it. And that's I see whiskers. But that's been
Always
my
trying.
philosophy. If it's bad, just don't review it. And if it's so-so, talk about what's good and what's less good about it. And if it's great, you can talk about what's great about it. What did you put
Normally I'm in the
catnip on your
office.
phone?
She likes to try to mark like everything that I'm using, my laptops, and she's trying
I
to mark
gotcha.
my phone now. So
Okay, let's see here. Oh, let's catch up on comments.
yeah, let's start over.
Ron says, if you're going to gatekeep, then don't post your photos. Let's see what Greg says. I'm late. Can you start over? Oh,
Yeah.
yes. In the beginning, we were confused. And now, 46 minutes later, we're still confused. All right. This is birding and nature section. How did birding become such a big part of your life?
Hmm. I've always been a backyard birder, and I've always had, well, I guess since I was probably 10, 12 years old, whatever, interest in birds and wildlife. And I've always been into photography as well, but I never kind of married the two until, I don't know, maybe I was in my late 20s, and I just did backyard birding. And wasn't until I moved to North Carolina here that I decided that I was just going to go out into the field. And Lake Betts was the first place that I found here where I went out and was seeing kingfishers and red-headed woodpeckers as opposed to chickadees and titmice, and brown-headed nuthatches, the stuff you see in your backyard. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact,
I was
like I said, I
about
did
to
it for
get
so many.
mad.
No, yeah, I mean, I did it for so many years, and I still do it. Like I was going to go out there. I'll probably go out there later today because there's been a brown creeper around, but it's just different, right? Being out there in the field, but I've always had an interest in it, and I've always had an interest in photography, and kind of just recently, maybe seriously in the past probably 4 or 5 years, really gotten into the bird photography piece of it, kind of out in the field, maybe 3 years.
Really? That recently?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What is your most memorable birding experience or life or moment?
Wow, that's a tough one. So again, this is gonna sound like I'm pandering or kissing butt, but when we
It's
went to
Orlando
Gatorland.
wetlands, isn't it?
No, when we went to Gatorland, so Orlando Wetlands was a better experience because it's kind of more real and more natural. But when you told me about Gatorland, I was like, no, man. I lived in Florida. I went to Gatorland. I don't remember any of this stuff happening there. And then when we went there, it's like, wow, we were, inches or feet from all these heron and just it was to me that was unbelievable just because of the setting more than anything else, right? To think that you can go to Gatorland where most people are looking at the alligators and here's Phil and Phil running around looking at the birds like a couple of doofuses, probably the only two people in the park looking at birds.
Yeah. Well,
But
I
just
mean, it's a popular place for birding. I mean, maybe not that particular day because it was 250,000 degrees, but what month we went? When did we go?
it was May something,
Yeah,
mid-May.
it was hot.
Yeah.
March would be even better.
Yeah, and I
But
was looking at the video, and I was looking at my shirt, and that Gatorland one specifically, you could just see like I was completely drenched.
yeah. definitely. Greg says, "Do you all have plans for getting out shooting this weekend?" I don't have plans, but I'm definitely going to shoot Sunday morning. I shoot every Thursday morning and every Sunday morning. Pretty much almost rain or shine. I'll go shoot something. These videos don't make themselves, so I got to go. What are
Yeah.
you doing this weekend, Philly V?
I since my wife is not here, I have the opportunity to go out every day. Normally, I'll since I'm retired, I go out 5 days a week, usually weather permitting, and I'll stay home a couple days with my wife and sleep in and have coffee together and all those types of things. But now I'm just kinda I'm bouncing around. Normally, I'll go to one spot. I'll try to be home by 10 and spend the rest of the day with my wife when I'm out. But now it's just like I can do pretty much whatever I want. So it'll be probably 2, 3, maybe 4 different places over the weekend. But part for me, the weekends are more about friendship and camaraderie and the kind of the close knit community that is the birding community here. So I don't on the weekends I don't really care if I get good shots, as strange as that sounds. It's more about hanging out with my friends and talking about camera gear and talking about birds and talking about life or whatever. So to me, the weekends are more of a social event because most of my friends can get out on the weekends. And then during the week is usually when I try to go. If I'm going to the serious birding, I'll usually go out by myself and try to get some shots. But I really love the social aspect of the birding community. It's one of the things that
Yeah.
draws me to and keeps me in it.
I like hanging out with other bird photographers too, but sometimes I'd rather be by myself. Like this morning, I showed
Yeah,
up at the place, and Dan Williams showed up at the place, and Dan Williams is awesome to stand around and talk about bird photography too. But I just had this feeling he wanted to be by himself, and I
yeah,
wanted to be by myself. So we were both at the same place, but we went different directions. And I should have hung out with him because he got a great picture of the northern harrier perched in a tree, and I didn't. So
sounds
mistake.
like it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but I didn't hear
there's
him talk about any swamp sparrows though, by
yeah,
God.
but there's a lot of my friends that I know are into the solo thing, and I completely get that. Like for a lot of people, the isolation and being alone in nature is part of the appeal of bird photography. And like I said, luckily I have a good mixture of that. So there are days normally where I go out where I'm just by myself and I'm just concentrating on that. And a lot of times, honestly, I just keep my camera holstered. I've got a cotton carrier and I'll just watch the birds. Like so probably 50% of the time at least my camera's holstered. I'm just kind of watching the birds because you really have to I feel like you have to enjoy the moments because let's face it, bird photography can be frustrating, right? You see this, oh, here's the, XYZ bird and he's perfect pose and perfect lighting, and you miss the shot and like, "Ugh," and where I just kind of sometimes just want to just take in the moment and not look through the viewfinder and just appreciate the beauty. And as corny as it sounds, it's true, the beauty that's all around you and kind of
Yeah. Well, I
relax.
think if I had 5 days a week to do that, maybe I would do that. But
Yeah, yeah,
the way I am, I've got oh man, I got to make a video. I've
yeah,
got to make a video. I have to successfully capture enough shots to put together a video. And so, holy cow, Ron Durant, $3. I went back to not being able to pronounce his name. I'm so excited about the $3. Ron Durant, $3. Thank you. That's very kind.
yeah.
Um,
And I completely get
but
that.
you know what I
Honestly,
mean. So if there's a bird, I'm not going to just observe it. I'm going to take pictures of it.
yeah,
Uh,
and that's
but
that that's
I
one of the
wish I
things that
had the
turned me
time to
off of
where I
the
could do that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If I had enough freedom to where I'm out there 5 days a week, maybe I might just observe it unless it was a perfect opportunity for a great shot, you know.
yeah,
But the way it is right now, if I'm close enough to something, even if the lighting's weird, I've got to figure out a way to make it happen.
yeah, and I realize I'm blessed and, I'm in a situation where not a lot of people are necessarily, and I'm not it's just I'm I'm very lucky that I'm able to do this. And I get so part of the reason why I don't do a lot of videos anymore is just for that reason. So Phil, I know you and I have talked about this. I'll go out and I'll film the talking head stuff and I'll get great talking head segments, but then I don't have enough photos to put a video together. And the way that I was doing my videos is I do it the day of, right? So I'm at Lake Betts and this is what I saw on Wednesday, October 10th or whatever. And that's what I've been doing. And that's I found not very conducive to me keeping my sanity. So I needed to when I start back up, I'm going to start doing, like I said, you and I talked about this, is if I don't have enough at any one particular day, just put a compilation together and mix multiple days. where I just wasn't doing that. I would always do like, today I'm here, this is what I found, this is the video, and tomorrow or whatever the next day there'll be a different video. But I need to do more of the, if I don't have enough, then I can put days together and string it into one video.
Yeah. One of the things that I didn't do this today, but I did this the last 2 or 3 times I was at the Summit Nubs Equestrian Trail. I would get all my shooting done for the day, the whole thing. And then once the light got harsh as it's time to go home, then I would set up my tripod and I would say,
Uh,
"Hello, it's Phil, and I'm at the Summit Knobs Equestrian Trail, and I'm using this camera, and I'm going to try to find some birds." The first bird I found was and then I would say the first bird I found. Then I'd look at the back of the camera. The second bird, but I'd cut that part out. The second bird I found was a blah blah blah, and then and I'd make the whole video in one clip, and then just bust it up and put the birds where they go. It actually worked pretty good. But today, you know, I had time to hike to different places, and I could make a clip. I don't like to make while there's still bird activity going on. I don't like to do a clip to camera because me talking will spook the birds.
right.
Dan Williams says, "Discipline is the key to success. I get out every morning at oh, it scrolled off.
And
Goodness.
sunrise and return home at noon. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's true, Dan. I mean,
It's amazing how often, because there's millions of places. There's not millions. There is millions of places, but in our area, there's not millions. There's lots and lots of places to go. But I see Dan, and this winter when the place to go is the Hiawassee Wildlife Refuge, I'll see Dan a lot more often. But I still run into him quite a bit, just
well,
out
they say
shooting.
luck is where preparation meets opportunity meets preparation, or something along those lines. Basically, it is perceived as luck, but if you have the skills and you're out there, the more you're out there, the better your odds of getting a good shot is, right? I mean, that's just simple math.
Yeah. Well, and like today, you got that great picture of two cedar waxwings eating berries. They're both sharp. Everything's great about it. You didn't get lucky. You go out
Right,
every day.
right.
Yeah. Man, you sure were lucky to go out every single day and try to get a shot and finally get one after, you know, I mean, it's not that you don't get shots other days, but you got that shot,
Yeah, and
so
so
that
I
wasn't luck. That was the fruition of lots and lots of work is what that was.
yeah, and I actually I told you this, Phil, but I shoot the Sony A7CR. It's got terrible rolling shutter, so I shoot single shot mechanical shutter. Today I've got the R5 Mark II. I've had that for a while, and today I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go whole hog, 30 frames a second, pre-capture, all that stuff, because I hate culling. That's the thing that I hate most about photography, is getting back home with 3,000 pictures and they'll just sit there. But today there wasn't a lot of birds, but I can tell you that I can see the value in having a camera that doesn't have rolling shutter, where you can use electronic shutter and shoot 30 frames per second, also have pre-capture. You're going to miss a lot fewer shots than I miss. So part of why I shoot the way I do was a gear limitation on the A7CR, but that 61 megapixel sensor, it's so hard for me to just leave that thing at home. It's just such a, such a beautiful sensor, and I shoot a lot of songbirds, and you really have the ability. People say, "Well, you should get closer." Yeah, okay, try to get closer to some of these songbirds, or try to get closer to kingfisher. Sure, you can do it, but it requires a lot of, and that's the difference to me between a great photographer and a good photographer. Is the great photographers will put in that effort and they'll spend weeks getting that kingfisher shot, right? Where I just go and I'm on a walk with my camera. Hopefully, I'm going to get some good shots, right? And I'm very serious when I get out about my photography to a certain extent, but I also understand that I'm just getting out there for a little bit of exercise and to enjoy nature as well. So there's, it might sound like a cop out where I don't get the shot, but there are times when I'm out there and the shot presents itself and I take advantage of it. It's just like you said, it's a matter of playing
Well,
the odds of getting out there.
you were talking about walking around. You want to know what Dan does? Dan stays in place.
Yeah,
Dan goes to some place that he knows is pretty good and sits there, and
yeah.
the birds come to him. He gets set up in a spot where birds are likely to come, and maybe when he first sits down, they're not there because maybe he spooked them, but then they get used to him being there and they come to him, which is really cool. That's probably how he got the harrier. I bet he just sat there and waited for the Harrier to come and land near him.
Yeah, and I
So,
firmly believe that that's the best way to get great shots, right? And do your research, find a spot. Like for me, lake bets, I know where everything is pretty much at any one time. So if I want to go see red-headed woodpeckers or kingfisher or whatever, I know where to set. And if I really wanted to get like magazine shots, I would just sit there and do it. And the shots are there. The opportunities present themselves every day. It's just for me, again, it's the kind of the philosophical. While I'm out there to get exercise and to shoot photos, not just to get photos. But
yeah. Holy cow, Miguel, $20. Woo! Touchdown, Tennessee. Thank you. That's
ah,
very, very, very kind. Very kind. All right, now let's go back through some of these comments. I'm behind on these comments. Ray is here. The Ray Soldano is in the chat. Ray says, Phil, you could always come to more UTC sports if you need shots. And I really want to go to more UTC sports. Um, and I should concentrate on that. Ron is thanking Ray for something that he helped him out with, which is cool. There's Miguel. I wish I knew how to edit like that. Cheese grits. I love that name. Uh, editing it takes a long time to get good at, and even when you're good at it, you could always improve. Um, practice, practice, practice. Learn, 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 and watch YouTube videos about
yeah,
editing, and
and
then
get Final Cut Pro on a Mac.
I'm talking about photo editing.
Oh,
I
photo
was,
editing. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, but I think Cheese Grits might have been talking about. Might have now that you mention it, I think Cheese Grits might have been talking about video
video.
editing, but I was actually talking about photo editing. I'm a pitiful video editor. I my stuff on my video shots are straight out of the camera. I don't do any grading like they call it. It's just straight out of the camera. And you know what? Here's my thing on that. If my video footage looks just okay, then when my picture comes up in the video, it's going to be like, whoa, that looks great. But if my video footage looks great and the picture comes up, it's going to be like, that's not special. So I try to make my pictures look as good as I possibly can make them look. In the video, it doesn't matter
There's
as
actually
much.
something to that. Yeah.
Let's see. Ron is recommending that everybody hit thumbs up. I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Ron. Please, if you're able, hit the thumbs up button. That helps us out. Let's see. Greg Wilson, Nature Photography says, I don't know how you get out and make a full video every week. I will have a bit more time soon. I'm always afraid of making uninteresting video and my subscribers will unsubscribe. Oh man, I got over the fear of making an uninteresting video years ago. I tell you what, though, if you are having a bout of insomnia, the best thing I can recommend is just put on one of my video playlists, start it at the beginning, put the volume down low, and buddy, before the first video is over, you'll be completely unconscious. My videos will put you absolutely to sleep. So there you have it. But yeah, don't worry about making a boring video because someone will find it interesting. The neat thing about YouTube, it comes down to the population of people on the planet Earth. There's how many people are there on Earth? 8 billion, 4 billion, just some ridiculous number. You know, if my video gets 500 views, that's not a very popular video in terms of the entire population of the world. But it doesn't matter. 500 people, it doesn't matter if two of them are from Taiwan and it doesn't matter. 500 people watched it. So what I'm saying is make your videos the way you want to make your videos. Somebody will find them entertaining. Somebody will find them interesting. And it doesn't matter that 8 billion people don't find it interesting, just as long as a few, 50, 50 people like it. That's awesome. That's more people than you can fit on a bus. Can you imagine standing up at the front of a bus full of people and presenting your video to 50 people? That's a lot of people. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's see. David says, I admire what you guys do. Thank you. Seems like another full time job making these videos, which seems like it would take a lot of the fun out of photography. That can be true. I've talked to people who and seen videos from people who make YouTube videos, and it becomes a job, and it becomes a job that they don't like.
Mm,
Well, for me, it has become a job. It's something I absolutely do every Thursday, every Sunday on my off days, but it's not a job I don't like. It's a job I absolutely love. I love this job. Before I was doing YouTube photography videos, I was still going out every off day and doing photos. Now just more people see them. So it just depends. If you don't really love it, you'll end up not loving it. But if you do really love it, it doesn't. It is a job, but it won't feel like a job. What is the old saying? Find a job doing something you really love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
that's the thing.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that and make a living. But when I retire, I'll have a little supplemental income, a little bit, doing something I actually love. Okay. Let's see. Ron says, don't worry about losing subscribers. If you do, then you'll never make those videos. Just be yourself and improve with each video. Good job. I agree. Hey, Woody. Cheese Grits got some shots of some mergansers here in South Alabama today. That is awesome. I saw some today, but haven't made any photos yet. I'm hoping that there's a pond at Chattanooga State that I got some shots of them last year, and I'm hoping to find them in that same pond this year. Do-do-do-do.
I love the mergansers. Like
Yeah,
Betts are usually good
you've already
places to
gotten
see.
some this year, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, they're starting to come in now. They're Lake Betts has a bunch. They have a population of mergansers,
Yeah.
buffleheads, ruddies, and usually like pied-billed grebes. And then the ringnecks will come in, the scaup will come in, the canvasbacks will come in, snow geese come in from time to time. So it's one of those spots where I mean, like a lot of spots, you never know what's going to show up. But there's been some stuff there that I would never expect. Like I wouldn't expect to see a snow goose in central North Carolina, but they show up from time to time. And
Yeah. So there were probably, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 hoodies down there in the water this morning. But that spot, you can't get close enough to them to make a photo. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's neat that they're there, but it's not a photography opportunity.
Yeah, so in that Lake Betts video that I did, I got some really close up footage of them and they're doing their little mating
Yeah.
ritual. And
Hmm.
I
That's
was
the,
down at eye level and it was just and the little fog on the water and the conditions were just perfect. But I was set up for that shot and I was
with
waiting
their
to
head
okay.
going up and down and
Yeah, yeah,
their hood all up. So
yeah.
awesome.
And there were like 4 or 5 for this one female. It's pretty interesting to watch. Nature's amazing.
Ray says we need to go on another Chattanooga photo walk. I'm ready, willing, and able. It just needs to be in the morning. Miguel says that he is super happy with the new R6 Mark III. That's cool. You're the first person I've talked to or heard about who's actually got one. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew they were announced. I didn't realize you could get them yet. That's awesome that they came out so fast after the announcement, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. Let's see. Ron is talking to Joe. Cheese Grit says, "Make your vacation a vacation."
Make your vocation a vacation. That's
Oh,
good philosophy.
I read it
Yeah.
wrong. I need some stronger reading glasses. Make your vocation a vacation. Yeah, that makes sense. I've never had cheese grits. They sound good. I've had those. They are quite delicious. Eagles love ruddy ducks for lunch. That's interesting. I know they love to chow down on American coots. As a matter of fact, there's a eagle nest at a college. Now I can't think of the name of the college in Rome, Georgia. and Heather had something that she needed to do at that college, some sort of something, and I went down there with her and just worked on taking pictures of those eagles. And there was a bunch of other photographers there, and this one guy said, "I wonder if they're over at that pond." And there's this pond that's a few miles from the campus, maybe 1 mile from the campus. It's close, and in that pond is hundreds of American coots. And a lot of times people go over there and wait around to see if an eagle comes down and snatches an American coot. I didn't get to witness it, but I thought it was cool that people have studied those eagles that much to know where to go to watch them feed. Miguel says he doesn't have it yet. He reserved it from B&H. It's coming on the 25th. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. All right, let's see. What time is it? It's 4:17, and I am good to go until 4:30. How about you, Philly V?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because at 4:30, Heather will be getting off work and she'll be calling me as she comes home, and I don't want to miss that. That is mucho importante. I probably said that all wrong. It's very important to me. Okay, so let's see if we got any other Chat GPT stuff. Here's a good one. What is your current go-to setup for bird photography and why?
So
You gonna say the 200 to 800?
I'm in between, and I was just talking. So the gentleman I went up with this morning, my friend Matt, he's got the R5 Mark II. He's got the 1 to 500,
Oh yeah.
and he influenced me a little bit to get the Mark II. So I had the original R5 and I traded it in. I can see that very soon the R5 Mark II is going to be my go-to setup, and the best lens that I have for that is your favorite, the 2 to 800. But currently, it's the Sony A7CR with the 2 to 600. But so that picture of the cedar waxwings I got with the Mark II and the 2 to 800 at
Yeah,
740
I knew it
millimeters.
was. I could tell because it wasn't very sharp. Just kidding. It looks fine. I'm just kidding. It looks fine.
The key is not to go out to 800 millimeters on that. 740 millimeters is the sweet spot, and f10 if you can get it.
707. I used to love it at 707.
But that the best shots that I've made are with that A7CR because again, so people say you don't need 61 megapixels. That's true. You don't. You can shoot with 24 megapixels if you can get close enough, but that's very difficult. So I say, why not take the 61 megapixels? And if you don't need all those megapixels, then you can downscale if you need to downscale it, but upscaling it is much more difficult.
Yeah.
But I can see that. So the A7CR for video is terrible. So the A7CR is not a good birding camera. Period. It's just not. It's not high frames per second. It's not. The autofocus is tremendous, and the 61 megapixels is hard to beat
That's all
for
you need.
photos. But for as a hybrid camera, the R5 Mark II for sure with that 2 to 800 is going to be my go-to very soon, I would imagine.
We'll have to let you and Johnny Pink talk about the R5 too. I don't know. I think it was because it overheated in video or something, but he hated his.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I guess everybody has a different. Like I didn't
Yeah, I was
particularly like
surprised
my
because I thought
Z8.
the R5 Mark One was the one that was supposed to have overheating problems in video.
Yeah, and they fixed that. I never had an overheating issue with my original R5, but I bought it late after they had kind of done all the firmware updates to fix the overheating. But I
Yeah.
didn't like my Z8, and I know you love your Z8. And that
Oh yeah.
600 PF, if I had the 600 PF, that'd probably be a different story. I had the 180 to 600, and I just I liked my Sony more than I like the Z8. Z8's a great camera. I just like the Sony more.
Put them up.
Yeah, I know, but the autofocus is so hard to beat in the Sony. That like the newest generation autofocus in the Sony with the AI chip is just it's really hard to beat.
Yeah, it's okay. I
But then
like it.
there are some that say, well, you should be using manual focus, and you're not a photographer if you're not using manual focus and
That
manual
is
settings and
that
forget
is
auto ISO and yeah,
yeah. As long as you get the picture, it doesn't matter.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
my
you do what you need to do to get the picture.
right.
But yeah,
As long as
I like the my little A6700 has the AI chip in it, and it's pretty good. It's pretty
yeah,
good. It's pretty good.
it's not bad. And I like that 2 to 600 lens, the Sony. It's a little bit heavy, but it's been
Yeah, I'm
solid.
I'm still surprised you haven't bought the 4 to 8 Sony.
Yeah, I'm still teetering on whether I'm gonna continue with Sony. I can tell you one thing though, for reliability and being rugged, Canon's really hard to beat.
Oh yeah,
I got that R7. I dropped that R7 from waist height 4 or 5 times, once into water, and that thing's still just like it's working like a tank. If I drop my Sonys, forget it. I mean, they're fragile. They're not toys because they're great professional cameras, but the difference between the way the Canon's built and the way the Sony's built, night and day.
this is my first R7, the one that fell into a creek. It is quite dead, and this is some of the 18 to 150 kit lens.
Oh, gee.
It broke
Oh,
in
nice.
half.
Looks like a teleconverter.
Yeah, but anyway, the battery was still good and the memory card, but the rest of it quite dead.
Yeah, so
Oh, you could see my Star Wars pajamas, my world famous live stream Star Wars pajamas.
and the video on the R5 Mark II, the stabilization, I can handhold 800 millimeters at 4K 120 and still get fairly stable footage. I couldn't do that even at 600 millimeter with that A7CR. The rolling shutter is just so bad.
Yeah, yeah. I think Sony may be a little behind on stabilization.
Yeah, they definitely are.
I think I mean the stabilization with the you can just look through it and it's shaky.
Yeah,
Where I look through my Canon and my Nikon gear and it you can tell it's being smoothed.
yeah. There's a huge difference. And so the A7CR has a really low. Um, the viewfinder is pretty bad because it's like a cheaper version of the A7R5, which has a better viewfinder. But
Yes.
going between that and my R5 II, the viewfinder in the R5 II is like
Yeah. Yeah. I
4K
think it's
versus
5
720.
million,
Yeah, it's crazy.
5 million pixels or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a weak spot of the Z8 and Z9. That the EVF is not unbelievable, but it's
yeah,
way better than the A6700. It's way better. It's better than my little OM system camera that I'm using right now. Um, Sometimes I can't tell if I've got a sharp shot or not looking in the viewfinder in the EVF on the A6700. I have to wait till I get it. I'm pretty sure that's sharp, and then I'll know when I get it on the screen.
yeah. It's the same with the A7CR. I can't tell. Like I'll never delete anything in the field. Not that I would anyway, but if I were inclined to, I wouldn't do it on that Sony because you just can't tell. The
Yeah.
screens are so bad.
Well, there's one time like you can delete an entire batch. Like if you shoot a few shots on your Canon camera and you hit delete, it'll say, "Do you want to delete the last picture or do you want to delete that whole burst?"
Yeah,
And Heather figured out how cool that was. We were shooting softball with Ray, some UTC softball, and we would make shots of every pitch just in case it was swung on and hit. And pitch comes, nope, delete all those. Next pitch.
yeah.
So anyway, that's a lot of banging around. Looks like we got some comments going on in here for all our blathering. Cheese Grits reminded me that Berry College is the college in Rome, Georgia, where the Eagles are. Miguel says he just got back from Colombia last week, and now it's full of warblers and osprey. That is cool. Would love to go down there and see that. Greg Wilson says I'm late in the game. Picked up a Z6 III, awesome, on my 180 to 600 and 800 millimeters. Thought about a Z8 or 9, but waiting to see what might be coming soon. The word is, as far as a replacement Z8 and Z9, what they're saying is the rumors are, and who knows when this might come, but they're saying it's going to be the exact same sensor with maybe upgrades in other areas, maybe a faster processor or something. So I have a feeling if they do come out with a Z8 II, I'll probably just stay where I'm at because it's a lot of money to replace $3,000 or $4,000 camera, and I'm totally happy with that one. They might add something like RAW and pre-capture, which currently it doesn't have. But guess what? I don't use pre-capture, so it's
Yeah.
that's not a big deal to me. So What I recommend is now that they've been out a while, Z8s and Z9s, maybe pick up a used one. My friend Ray, who is in here, he's got two Z9s, which is the same sensor as a Z8. Uh, and one of his has got like 370,000 shots on it and still going strong. Let's see. Cheese Grits likes the R7 with the 100 to 500. David says crop mode. I'm not sure what he's referring to. Probably something we were talking about a while back. So that's my fault for missing that. Hey, there's Heather. Heather says dropping in to say hi before I walk to the car. Okay, so I'll be talking to you on the phone at about 4:35. Ray says he has 410 clicks on one of his Z9s and
Wow.
870,000 on the other one. You can do that when there's no mechanical shutter. So there's
Yeah,
there's no moving parts. So you don't have to worry about it.
that's some pretty heavy use for sure.
Let's see. Greg says, Phil, I think those pajamas need to be in your next video. Better than camo. Maybe so. You'd be so if it's a video that I make in my janky blind on the back porch, I'm probably wearing these pajamas. Let's see. Dan Williams says I shoot with Sony, but they are just not well built. I have several bodies that have issues. That's a shame. But they got the best autofocus and maybe not the most rugged construction. Or
Yeah,
and
definitely not.
or maybe I should say at the top tier of autofocus. I don't want to say they're the best autofocus because that would say that they're better than somebody else, but they're at the top as maybe Nikon and Canon are these days as well. Uh, Ray says there have been a couple of eagles flying over McKenzie Arena the past couple of weeks. Yeah, Ray works at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, which is where Heather works as well. And UTC is 100 yards from the Tennessee River, maybe 200. It's right next to the Tennessee River. So you can see bald eagles and all sorts of cool stuff just hanging around down there. Ray says 105 UTC sporting events shot in 2025 so far, and
Wow.
probably
Wow.
2 or 3,000 shots at each one of those would be my guess. Joe says the Z8 is on sale right now for something like $34.99, and that is what I paid for mine before tariff. So that's a great price.
Yeah, it
Holy
is.
cow! There is David Sailors.
Hey, David.
David says, "Good afternoon, all. Dropping in to say hi before getting supper." And he says he likes that ZF life because he's got the Nikon ZF, which is the most David Sailors camera ever. Because David loves Nikons. He also loves Leica, but he also used to love the Fuji X-T3 with all the old school dials on it. And the ZF is Nikon and it has the old school dial. So the perfect camera for David. I was so happy when he finally got one. Good on you, David Sailors. And John says, love the chat and thanks. So I didn't ask you anywhere near all the questions on here, but we're getting pretty close to being
Yeah.
out of time. But those questions definitely kept us busy. There was never a point where we said, what do we do now? So that worked out pretty cool. Hey, Philly V, thank you so much for doing this again. Maybe we'll do it again in a month or so or
Yeah, I'm
two.
I'm up
Um,
for it. I'll
it's
probably be
it,
doing bird photography in a month or two.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, that's probably what I'll be working on as well. I got a couple lenses that are being sent to me that I'm looking forward to trying out. I can't tell you what they are yet because they're not out yet. So look for that on the channel coming up. And thank you for the two people that did super chats. That's very rare on this channel. So thank y'all very much. Thank everybody for joining. Hope everybody hits the thumbs up button. And if you see me or Philly V out doing photography, don't hesitate to come up and say hi. Or at least don't hesitate to come up and say hi to me. I wouldn't say hi to Philly V. He might bite you.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty vicious on the trails. Watch out.
Yeah, it's not in the slightest. All right, now I got to figure out how to make this thing go bye bye. Somewhere on here is a button I should press. Let's see. I bet it's this one. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for
Have a
having me,
great
Phil.
have a great day. End.